Sports gambling is funny. It's not like drugs or alcohol or opioids. You don't see it.
That's the author Michael Lewis. You may know him from his hit books Moneyball, The Blind Side, and The Big Short. But lately there's another issue that he's become obsessed with: sports betting. Since 2018, when it became legal in the US to gamble on sports from your phone, betting is everywhere, especially among young men and on college campuses.
Charlie Baker, he was a former governor of Massachusetts, who is the head of the NCAA. When he got the job, he did a listening tour on college campuses to talk to college athletes. He wanders around, and the two things that rise to the top of his list of concerns is, one, the athletes are all feeling like they're in physical danger because of gambling. Like, the people around them have put money on them. The file of incidents they accumulate is amazing and chilling. But the second thing is, it's just everywhere. Everyone's doing it in a way he didn't imagine. And they went and polled it. And it was 60% of the young men on college campuses were gambling. The number was something like that. And I just thought, could that be true?
The actual number is higher than that. 67% of all college students, both male and female, are bettors, according to the NCAA. Michael clearly has a point of view on this. A few months ago, he did an entire podcast series on why he thinks sports gambling is incredibly dangerous for young people. We sent some of Michael's comments to two of the major betting companies. Neither of them issued us a reply, but many betting platforms have pushed back in recent years, saying this is not as big a problem as people like Michael make it out to be. But given just how popular phone-based gambling is these days, I wanted to hear Michael explain why he's so worried and what he thinks we need to do to avoid ushering a generation of young people towards gambling addiction.
Michael, I want to start this conversation with a quick back-of-the-napkin bit of maths. There are something like 60 to 70 million men in America aged between the age of 18 to 49. According to a Siena poll, nearly half of men in that age group have an active online sports betting account. So then there's a recent paper in The Lancet that estimates that 9% of adults who bet on sports are at risk of developing a gambling problem. When you hear numbers like that, being a kind of data and narrative guy, how do you connect them? What do you make of it?
I had exactly the same reaction to the numbers you're having to the numbers. Is that I thought, this is a slow rolling crisis that we are going to. It takes a little while for the addiction to sort of manifest itself. So it's this invisible kind of problem in the middle of the society, and it's new. It's like we did this. The sports gambling wasn't really. It was trouble to do until the Supreme Court said the federal government couldn't ban it. And that was 2017. The sports gambling companies don't really get up and going till 18, 19. So this is a new phenomenon. I think you're starting to see the stories. It'll unfold like the opioid crisis. It'll be anecdote. A friend whose friend's son killed himself. All that's just coming down the pike. And then people will try to get their minds around just how big a problem it is. And they'll go back to these numbers.
I guess from the sort of betting company's point of view, they would look at those Lancet numbers and flip them on their head and say, well, the vast majority of bettors don't have a problem. What's all of the panic about? We've had casinos for years. This is not quantifiably different from people going to casinos. What's your response?
I don't think that's how they think about it. The problem gamblers are such the source of their profits. It's like, how do we turn more people into problem gamblers? So I think that's how they think about it. The central feature of the sports gambling business is data and its ability, and why it's different from just a traditional casino in a big way. Well, one, it's in your pocket, and so it's there all the time. But two, they're so good at the companies are so good at figuring out who has a problem and also who knows what they're doing. So that if you know what you're doing, and there are not many people who do. I mean, it's not 1%, it's fractions of 1%. But if you are actually an edge player, if you can effectively count cards in the casino, it takes them a few bets to figure out that you're that person and chuck you out. On the other hand, if you have a problem, it takes them not that long to figure that out and make you a VIP. and make you feel like you belong and you're important and all the rest. And so they're mining that population. I think a lot of their profits come from that population. So that's what they think. And now their defense publicly is going to be something like what you said. It's like, oh, who cares? It's only 9%. But as you say, 9% is millions, and it's not just. It's even more toxic in a way because it's so targeted. It's young men.
Yeah.
It isn't. So it's not 9% of young men. It's more than it's a, and that population already feels. I mean, this is just a political observation. It already feels to me very volatile and exploitable and a little dangerous. And to inflict more harm upon that population does not seem like a wise thing to do.
I have a phone. My daughters have phones. My girlfriends have phones. Why is it so much more prevalent amongst young men than amongst young women?
It's extraordinary. So while I was working on my stories about it, just by chance, I went to my son's high school and taught an English class, and there were 40 kids in the class. It was a storytelling class, and my son actually asked me. He knew I was working on this. He said, "How many people in here gamble on sports?" All of the boys' hands went up, and none of the girls went up. And I think that so it is so dramatically gendered. Why? I mean, it's something it's something in the brain. It's like it's men in risk. It's why are men? Why when Wall Street blows up and you go to find out who made the stupid bets, it's almost always a man. And I think it's true that there are more men on Wall Street in the trading business than women. But even if you insisted on making it 50-50 and Wall Street blew up because of a lot of dumb bets, you would find men at the bottom of the bets. It's risk appetite. It's whatever it is in the male brain. And there are other things like this. Pornography is a little like this, right? That pretty gendered. But this is so extreme.
I'm interested about your son's high school class because obviously, actually, presumably many of them are underage. They're under 18, and
good point.
They
good
shouldn't
point.
actually have been on there in the first place anyway.
Right.
I mean, literally, they shouldn't be there at all.
It's better than that. It's better than that. Not only are they all underage, they're in California where it's illegal. So California is one of a dozen states that doesn't have legalized sports betting. So they're doing it in a state where they're not even supposed to. Nobody's supposed to be able to do it, and they're doing it with such ease that.
Yeah.
So for one of the episodes of my podcast, I just gave my son $5,000 and said, "We're going to put a GoPro on your head and a mic on your lapel, and you think you're so smart at sports betting, you go have at it, but we're going to record you, and you're going to have to live with whatever happens, and the whole world's going to hear about this." And it took him about 6 seconds to open an account in which he could vaporize $5,000 in a day. In California, and it's so that wasn't an account with FanDuel or DraftKings. It wasn't the major players. It's shadowy companies, but they're there and everybody's using them.
I mean, it's a cliche. We always say this is the new cigarettes. People are doing something they know is bad for them, but everyone's doing it anyway, and the risks are incredibly high, but you just sort of ignore the risks. Is this the new cigarettes?
Its effects will be a little different, but I mean, he's not going to give you lung cancer. But yes, it's going to create an epidemic of problems, and the problems they're really interesting problems. It undermines the integrity of sport. I mean, I don't know if you watch the smaller stories on ESPN over the last few years. There's this constant drumbeat of pro and college athletes who are with not very much, not huge sums of money at stake. It's almost like they just can't control themselves, compromising their performance or being accused of compromising their performance for the sake of a bet. So it's like it has side effects that are unlike like tobacco, but the health effects are real, and and the measurables right now are things like in states. You have these natural experiments where like, I can't remember which was which, but say Mississippi has legalized sports gambling and Alabama hasn't. you start to see effects in the savings rates in the states, effects in bankruptcy. You're already starting to see these macro effects that are just bad. So
Yeah,
yes,
and
it
then
is.
all
I think
the knock-on effects that come personally with bankruptcy and with being in debt. I saw somewhere that 6% of young men who gamble online say admit to the fact they've lost $500 in a day. I mean,
right.
these are not people necessarily with $500 in a day to spare. So you then think about what that means in terms of being able to pay their rent, being able to make their car payment, how they feel towards other people potentially if they're in debt or bankrupt. Um, it's
All
more than
true.
just a bank account
And
number.
you've got this horrible, unpleasant secret life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not. It isn't healthy.
So if you had a magic wand, Michael, if you could do something about it, what is it that you would do? Would you just be trying to put up more friction between the consumer and the betting platforms,
Yes.
or how would you go
The two
about it?
so there are two things that pop to mind. One is that's the obvious one, is just make it harder. Um, and whether you like maybe ban doing it on your phone, or I don't, there things like that you would introduce, just make it harder. You're not if you and certainly give the regulators one of the problems here, and this is like the problem a bit with tobacco, is the states are all aligned with the gambling companies because the states get revenue from the taxes on the gambling. And it's not a lot of revenue. The numbers are actually surprisingly trivial for the states, but it's new revenue. And they're all starved for new revenue. So the state regulators are not really encouraged to shut it down. The states are in there. It's kind of awful. The government is alongside these
Mm.
companies creating this problem.
Also, it's
But
new
if you,
revenue from young people who will be paying taxes for years.
that's, yes, yes. It's awful when you start thinking about it. There's another thing aside from introducing snags. And I tried this out in front of a Wall Street audience not that long ago, and I didn't hear anybody argue back. But it's stigmatizing it in this way. I mean, it's hard to see it, but I was talking to people who had to who were choosing money managers. They were big pension funds, that kind of thing. And they asked me, like, if you could if you could, how would you in an original way identify people who shouldn't be managing your money? And I said, like, if you could determine who is a VIP at a sports gambling company, you've found someone who
Yeah.
probably shouldn't be making risk decisions. It isn't that
Yeah.
you're important. They've actually identified you have some kind of problem.
And what about for parents? I mean, you gave the example of your son who was doing it for your podcast and all his classmates who were doing it anyway, probably not for podcasts. But what would you say to the parents of your son's high school friends? What would you say to the parents of a 16-year-old boy when you knew that this could become a possibility for him?
So we have an argument in our own family. My wife was pissed when I did this with him. She really thought like you were going to create an addict. And I didn't, we were making different judgments about our son. My judgment was he's going to get this anyway, and probably has it already. It's available to him already, and all his friends are doing it. Let's bring this out into the light of day, and and have him just like experience it, and think about it, justify it, and teach him about it. Like teach him that it doesn't occur to the 17-year-old male. It just doesn't occur to them that if there is a market price, there's a lot of information in that price, and they don't know the information. They think, I know the Warriors are going to win, so if I bet on the Warriors, that's a great bet. They don't realize that they don't have it natural, because they don't have a natural edge because of their own brilliance in the marketplace, and and it he in fact, through repetition and through conversations with professional gamblers, I created these kind of lifelines for him. We could call these pro gamblers and ask him if what he was doing was smart, and it never was. He came to understand that, like, oh, this whole thing is rigged against me. So it was sort of twisting the male ego into a different place, so that it was the smart thing to do, the cool thing to do was like, oh, I know this is a rigged game and I'm not going to play it. And he got there.
And do you think it's a message that he could pass on to others? And do you think it's a message that how would other boys learn that message? And it is boys we're talking about, without the experiment that you did with your son.
So I didn't know I was going to come in here and plug my podcast. I don't mean to do this. I'm sorry,
No,
but
no,
we
no.
did
You've
create
done the
this one
research. That's why
episode.
we've come to you.
So that we did create this one episode, the last episode, just for this reason. The idea was hand this example this lesson I've taught my son through experience to like every math teacher in America, and have them give it to their students, or at least their male students, and say like, this is also a math exercise, and we're going to teach you about these markets. That I do think that there are resources like that out there, but this is in story form where you can just hand your kid the thing and say, listen to this, and you'll understand how these markets work. And if you still want to go do it, it's hard to stop you, but don't think you're smart.
Michael Lewis, thank you very much.
Good seeing you.